Good morning, Lyme friends. Mrs. Hutchins here to do a read aloud with my big old brace. My shoulder was bothering me, so the doctor has fixed it, and it's going to take a while, but it's going to get better. Today I'm going to read Good as New. The story is by Barbara Douglas. The pictures are by Patience Brewster. This story is about a boy and his grandpa. His grandpa is the kind of grandpa that you may have that fixes things. The title page says Good as New, and the picture shows a bear with a sewing needle. Do you think that's a clue about what this story might be about? The dedication page, both the author and the illustrator dedicate this book to their grandfathers. I thought my grandpa could fix anything. One morning last week, he fixed the hose and the fence, and my swing and my sandbox, and Yimli's fire engine and Carmen's wagon. But then my cousin Casey came to visit while Uncle Jonathan went riding with his club. And Casey started crying as soon as my uncle rode away. Nobody could make him happy, not even Grandpa, because the only thing Casey wanted was my bear. And I said, nobody plays with my bear but me. Casey kicked the floor and cried some more, and Mom said, Grady, do you think Casey feels lonely because he didn't bring his bear? Then Dad said, do you think he might feel better, son, if you just let him hold your bear? Grandpa didn't say anything. Casey cried even harder until Yimli and Carmen grabbed their toys and went home. Grandpa grabbed his hat and went for a walk. And before I could say, okay, you can just hold him, Casey grabbed my bear. But he didn't just hold him. He dragged my bear around by the ears, and he fed him peanut butter. And he tried to feed him to the dog. Dad made him stop. Then Casey dragged my bear outside where he sat on him. And he turned the hose on him. Dad made him stop that too. So Casey buried my bear in the sand. After Casey went home, I dug up my bear. Mom said, oh, please don't bring it in the house. Dad said, I'm sorry, son, it's ruined, but I'll buy you a new one. I said, I don't want a new bear. I want this old one fixed the way he was before Casey came. Mom shook her head, and Dad did too. But Grandpa hung up his hat and he said, never you mind now, Grady. I can fix that bear, so he'll be as good as new in no time. Then he brought a big brown paper bag outside and we sat down. First, he opened up his pocket knife. I said, wait a minute. What's that for, Grandpa? Are you sure you can fix my bear? Of course I can, he said to me. Hold on here and pull so I can see to cut the stitches. I held on and I pulled, but I didn't want to watch because Grandpa opened up my bear and then he started pulling out stuffing. My bear's stomach went flat, the way mine feels when I'm hungry. His arms and legs wrinkled up too, so I said, Grandpa, are you sure this is the right way to fix my bear? Grandpa just kept on working. My bear's nose dropped and his head flopped. And I covered my eyes and I said, Grandpa, are you sure? But he said, never you mind now, Grady. We'll have this bear as good as new in no time. In the kitchen, we made a sink full of suds, and Grandpa scrubbed my bear. First, he scrubbed the stomach, then the arms and the legs, and the neck and the nose, and he even scrubbed the ears. The water got all muddy, but my bear didn't get very clean. "Look," I said to Grandpa, "I can still see peanut butter." So I pulled the plug and we made more suds, and Grandpa scrubbed again, but this time he scrubbed too hard. Both the ears fell off, and I said, "Grandpa, I'm not sure this is the right way to fix my bear." "Never you mind now, Grady," Grandpa said. "He'll be as good as new in no time." Grandpa rinsed my bear and squeezed him hard. Then he shook him out. I told him, "Grandpa, a clean bear's not so good if it's all flat and wrinkled and it hasn't got any ears." "Never you mind now," Grandpa said. Then he hung my bear outside to dry with one ear on each side, and he said, "I have to go downtown to buy new stuffing. Anybody want to come along?" I did. We rode the bus to the hobby shop, where Grandpa bought the stuffing, and I saved his place in line, in the popcorn line. By the time we got back home again, my bear and his ears were dry, but he was still all flat and broken. I said, "Grandpa, are you sure?" I guess you know what Grandpa said. So we sat down outside again. Grandpa filled my bear with new fluffy stuffing. He put about 100 hunks of stuffing in the arms. He put about 100 hunks of stuffing in the legs. And he put about 100 hunks of stuffing in the head and in the nose and in the neck. But the stomach still looked hungry, so Grandpa kept on stuffing. Then I brought him a needle and thread and a thimble, and he sewed the back of my bear and said, "There." But I said, "Wait a minute, Grandpa. He isn't dirty anymore, and he isn't flat or wrinkled, but he still doesn't look so good without—" "Without what? Is something missing?" my Grandpa asked, wide-eyed. "Never you mind," he said. "I can fix that too." And so he did. And then he said, "There now, how does that look?" I turned my bear all around and carefully looked all over. "Grandpa," I said at last, "I thought you could fix anything, but this bear isn't good as new." There was a long silence, and Grandpa, he looked kind of sad. "It's better than new," I shouted, laughing, and I gave him my best bear hug. Now, whenever Casey comes to visit, Grandpa and I grab our hats and my bear and slip out the back door, never minding. So I hope you enjoyed Good as New. I bet there's someone in your family that's very handy, and when things break, it may be a grandpa, it may be a dad, it may be a grandma or a mom or an aunt or an uncle, but maybe there's somebody in your family who, when things need fixing, they're the ones that you ask. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for listening. Love from Mrs. Hutchins.